Good morning, everybody. All right, good morning, Queensland, and good morning, Gold Coast. And of course, it's great to be on the Gold Coast. There's people out and about, and of course, this is going to be one of our busiest tourism hotspots when we come up to Christmas and into the school holidays. And I still want to see the vaccination rates here on the Gold Coast lift. So today I'm asking anyone on the Gold Coast who has not gone and had their vaccine yet to please go and get vaccinated. The Gold Coast was sitting just under the state average. Along the coastal strips, the vaccination is quite good, but once we get into some of the hinterland areas, the vaccination rates are lower than what we would like. So there we go, everything's happening here today. So in good news today, we have 0 local community cases, which is fantastic. Remember, we've been watching the Gold Coast very closely to see if there was any more community transmission. We're going to continue to watch it this week very closely, and we are still encouraging anyone, if you have any symptoms, to please go and get tested. But this is positive news, especially in the lead up to another big event that's happening this weekend on the Gold Coast, the beginning of Schoolies Week. So we have 2 cases that were acquired in hotel quarantine, and we're not worried about those. So now we had 5,644 tests in the past 24 hours, and well done to people who came out and got vaccinated yesterday. Queensland Health has done 16,985 vaccines. So that is great news. Queenslanders are coming out and getting vaccinated, but we need more people to come out and get vaccinated. So now we have 81.99% have got at least one dose, and 70.25% are now had their 2 doses and are fully vaccinated. And of course, we've got some new guidelines and rules that are coming in now with having reached that first great milestone of 70% double vaccinated. So now we'll be welcoming people from hotspots who are fully vaccinated to come into Queensland and home quarantine for 14 days if they produce that negative test. So that will become live at 5 o'clock this afternoon, and the Health Minister will give more information about that. So can I say that's come in earlier than expected, and if these rates continue, that is good news, because it may even see our date in December come a little bit forward as well. But that depends on Queenslanders getting vaccinated. We will continue to keep Queenslanders safe, and can I just thank Queenslanders for doing a mighty job. It has been absolutely fantastic what everyone has been doing. So I'll hand over now to the Acting Chief Health Officer, and then the Health Minister and the Deputy Police Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier. And as we've heard, 2 new cases overnight, but both of those are overseas acquired. Both of those are in hotel quarantine, and that's wonderful news, because the more important part is that means there's 0 locally acquired cases. We're still watching the Gold Coast, as the Premier said, and we'd encourage everyone, if you've had symptoms in the Gold Coast, please come forward and get tested. Those testing numbers have dropped off a little bit, but we're very keen to make sure we test anyone with symptoms to make sure there's no community transmission that we haven't detected yet, particularly coming into schoolies. The other thing, isn't it wonderful news, over 70% double vaccinated, and that's really the path to 80% double vaccinated and the path to 90%. And the really positive thing, I think, out of the weekend is the high proportion of first doses being vaccinated, because that's what's going to get us towards 90%. Thank you.
Well, fantastic numbers over the weekend, and over the last 7 days, through Queensland Health vaccination centres, we've done 114,243 vaccinations. That's just with Queensland Health, and of course many other people have come out to GPs and community pharmacies as well. So well done, Queenslanders. Due to their great work, we've been able to get to that 70% double dose, but we want to get to 80% double dose and beyond to ensure that we are keeping our community as safe as possible as we open up our borders. Now, the 2 new cases today that are overseas acquired reminds us again why it is still important that we have international arrivals quarantining, because these people would have had negative tests before they got onto those flights, but have arrived and immediately tested positive. So it means that people on those flights were also now exposed as well. So it's really important that we continue that quarantine at our current vaccination levels. I do want to talk about what it means for people home quarantining now. The criteria for people to home quarantine is very similar to the criteria we applied for the 1,000 people who were part of our trial, but we have broadened it a little bit more, which means the definition of residence has been enlarged, so it doesn't have to be just a standalone home. It can be a townhouse or an apartment where you have fresh air access to your door, so you don't have common walkways or corridors that you have to pass through to get to the entrance of your unit. So if you're in a ground floor apartment and you can directly access that without going through any common areas, you will be able to home quarantine there. If you're in a townhouse where you have direct access, you'll be able to quarantine there. You also have to be fully vaccinated, and it has to be 2 weeks since you had your second dose. You have to have received a negative test within the 72 hours prior to flying in, and you must fly in. You cannot arrive by road at this stage. And you must be able to travel, your residence must be within 2 hours of the airport you're arriving into. Now, if you can fly direct to any airport in Queensland from your interstate departure, then you can home quarantine within that 2 hour radius. Or if you can transit through Brisbane on a single flight, then you can home quarantine as well. We've also expanded the transport you can use, so you will be able to use your own private vehicle. If someone drops off your car to you, as long as there's no direct contact, you'll be able to use your vehicle. Or, as we saw with the 1,000 people who quarantined, many were quarantining with family members. Those family members who are going to be quarantining with you will be able to come and pick you up and take you to your residence. You could also organise contactless car hire if that is available. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible, but I do want to make it clear, a normal taxi or Uber or ride share is not available, and it will not meet the criteria, because we do not want to see people who are going into home quarantine getting into those broader, more general use vehicles that could see transmission spreading. People will be able to go on to the Border Pass site from 5 p.m. this afternoon, and assuming they can meet that criteria, they can get their Border Pass issued immediately. So start booking your flights. If you're fully vaccinated, go get your test as soon as it's negative and your flight's booked. Jump online. Your Border Pass will be instant as long as you can meet that criteria of uploading your vaccination status, uploading your flight details and identity, and also, most importantly, uploading that you have a negative test. So we look forward to welcoming so many Queenslanders back to Queensland from this week, and for people who are wanting to come, visit loved ones and also relocate to Queensland. Today is the day that you can start putting in place your travel arrangements and start flying back this week. Thank you.
So good morning. Just to add to, in particular, what the Health Minister said about the new system that comes in from today, from 5 p.m. People that are coming in need to make sure that they do meet the requirements of entry to be able to complete home quarantine. If they don't, they're not going to get issued the Border Pass. The system has been automated significantly this time and allows the upload of documents that are required to be able to support that application. People can expect that when they arrive into the airports into Queensland that there will be police there, and they should expect to get checked. Similarly, when people go into home quarantine and for the duration of their 14 days, they will be subject to ongoing compliance checking. And if the compliance checking that we do, the online stuff, show that there's a problem, then they can expect police to turn up at their door. So we are asking everyone that's coming in under these new arrangements to make sure they understand their obligations before they come, that they properly and fully submit the application, and that they comply with our directions as you come into the state and during quarantine. It's really important to remember that there are still breaches for failure to do this. So anyone that does the wrong thing and comes into our airports, not only will they likely get turned around if they haven't got the right paperwork, they will have committed a breach under the Chief Health Officer's directions. And as we've done all the way through, we will take action when we have to. So that's the first thing. The second thing I just want to assure everyone is that the very detailed planning is progressing in relation to the 80% changes, and we are preparing if we need to go earlier as we have this time. So very confident what that's all at. I'm sure everyone wants to know the details. We'll share them with you soon, but that planning is well advanced. Thank you.
Happy to take some quick questions. Oh, can I just say too, the Gold Coast is 78.8% first dose and 67.2% second dose. And some of the suburbs that we really need to see an increase in vaccinations include Coomera, Pimpama, Gavin, and Lower Beachmont, Natural Bridge. So we really need to see those, and we'll give the list out, but we really need to see some of those areas come out and get vaccinated, because this is going to, make no mistake, this is close to the border. When we get to that 80% double dose, there's going to be a lot more people coming here, and they're going to be coming here to see their family and friends and to enjoy the Christmas holidays. So we need to protect the Gold Coast, so I need more people to come and get vaccinated.
Premier, are you actively considering reopening the border earlier than the 17th of December?
As I said, we've been able to Queenslanders have done such a great job that this milestone of the 70% double dose has been reached earlier than expected. So we are definitely on track to meet that 17th of December, but it may come earlier. So it depends on Queenslanders.
When do you expect to meet the 80% double dose?
We're on target to reach it by the 17th of December, but as I just said, we're now almost like a week earlier, so it could come a week early. Okay, but I don't want to get my hopes up. I don't want to get people's hopes up. So we're on track for that 17th of December. It could become a few days earlier.
What happens if you live a 2-hour and 10-minute drive
Sorry?
from an airport? Like, what happens if you live just outside that?
It's 2 hours. I mean, we had to set a criteria, so people might have friends or family. I think a lot of people are going to wait till we get to the 80% double dose, but this criteria is in place now for those who want to return home earlier, or for those people who have purchased properties to come and live in paradise. I mean, have a look how beautiful the Gold Coast is here today. We're standing at beautiful Burleigh Heads, where people are out and about enjoying life. It's a fabulous place to be, and it's going to be packed with tourists over the Christmas and New Year holidays.
Premier, haven't you made a real...
Wasn't the border pass system live yesterday, and why weren't police ready yesterday when we hit 70?
Because we actually hit the milestone earlier than expected. So 5 p.m. today, that's I'm very comfortable with that. A lot of work has happened. People have worked all weekend, and I thank them for doing that.
Premier, haven't you made it really difficult for people to get back under this 70% regime with, there's a lot of people, for example?
No, not at all, because previously with that trial, they were just coming into Brisbane, and now it's expanded to regional Queensland where there is an airport.
There's still a lot of restrictions in place as far as...
This is about keeping Queenslanders safe. I make no apology for putting in place criteria to protect Queenslanders. The last thing I want to see is a large Delta outbreak before Christmas when our vaccination levels are not as high as New South Wales and Victoria. Now, they're not as high as New South Wales and Victoria because we haven't had a large-scale outbreak. And I want to thank Queenslanders for the great work that they have done, and we're in a unique position. If we get a lot more people vaccinated, it puts us, I believe, in a world-class position.
Just to confirm, people could book this afternoon to come to Queensland and be here tomorrow?
They have to produce their negative test, so it may take them a couple of days. But it's still earlier than expected. It was supposed to be the 19th of November, and it's come forward.
When do you expect the first
majority of these arrivals today to be returning Queenslanders or visitors?
It can be a range of factors. It may be people who have bought a new home and want to come and live in Queensland. So as long as they meet the criteria, they can come here.
When would you expect
There's
it?
a lot of people camping on the border, Premier. Is there a reason why they can't possibly
They can only come by air. That is a protection mechanism to keep Queenslanders safe. But when we hit the 80% double dose, people will be coming by car, they will be coming by air. And as I said, I'm concerned that the Gold Coast is not at the moment at the state average. and we really need to lift the vaccination rates up. And as you said, there are people on the border. They'll be coming here, and the Gold Coast is not ready at this stage. That is one of the reasons I'm here today.
Are they at more risk of catching
Sorry,
COVID
Lydia?
by going to Sydney, though?
Travel from that cross-border region is only 11% of travel at the moment. Do you expect to relax that before the 80% of the trial?
We haven't considered that yet.
Can you explain how the
A couple more
Can you
questions.
explain how
Are
the
they at
test?
risk of catching COVID driving to Sydney then, to flying into Queensland rather than just driving across from Queensland?
Sydney has reached, my understanding is 90% double vaccinated. We are not at 90% double vaccinated. So we need to push our vaccination rates, and Queenslanders are coming out in their thousands. Families are coming out to get vaccinated.
Why
Yeah,
can you
when we
drive
get
2 hours
80%
from an airport to home quarantine?
That's the
You can't
criteria.
drive
I've addressed
from
that.
Queen to Burleigh Heads, for example. Why can't you
I've
drive
addressed that.
For those who are currently in hotel quarantine, will they now be able to enter home quarantine?
That's my understanding, but I'll check that out for you.
Can you explain how the tests are going to work, Premier?
Sorry?
When we hit 80%, do you expect the border to reopen when we hit 80%, or will there be a couple of days, 24 hours delay to get plans in place?
Well, I expect it to be when we reach 80%, but it just depends if it falls over a weekend. So like you said, it's come in on the Monday. Yeah.
Just looking ahead to those dates, if
Yes.
someone gets their second dose on, say, the 15th of December, can they then fly into the state on the 17th, or do they have to wait 2 weeks for it to take effect?
They have to produce their negative test, but as long as they're double dose, they're fine.
So it can be the day they get double vaccinated. or
Yeah, but
day
then they
after.
have to get a negative. Yeah.
Can you explain how the tests are going to work, Premier? Or
Well, they have to go and get a test. So people are doing that all the time. Even if people are travelling overseas, they go and get a test.
No,
It's-
Do they have to pay for that test? Or?
yes, is my understanding. Unless they go to they have to ring. Like they might be able to go to one of their state health centres in New South Wales or Victoria and produce that test. Anyway, it's great news. It's wonderful that everyone's come out here today. It's beautiful, and I was walking this morning and I heard a couple of gentlemen say they're living the dream. So they're living the dream here on the Gold Coast. Queenslanders have done a mighty job. Keep it up. Get vaccinated. Time is running out, Queensland. If you haven't had your vaccination, really, you've got to have it this week. Otherwise, unfortunately, you won't be able to do certain things come that 17th of December when we have hit the 80% double dose.
Premier, any concerns about the RSPCA?
Sorry.
Any concerns about the RSPCA and whether executive bonuses pass the
Look, I've heard some of those reports, and hopefully the RSPCA will do a thorough review. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Yep, just one quick from Dr. Aiken. Otherwise, he's standing in the sun.
I'll get a sunburn here.
The other week when we were in Logan, you mentioned that there was modelling being done of what cases would be like in some of the big centres like Cairns, Townsville, when we reach the sort of mass COVID numbers. Is that modelling been finished, and when's it expected to be released?
Yeah, there's been 2 lots of modelling done, and one is the modelling based on the preliminary work provided by the Commonwealth, and we're doing some more specific work looking down at more age-based modelling as well. And as you can expect, that we expect to see higher numbers of cases in those communities where the vaccination rates aren't as high. So we're working with those communities, like here today, to make sure those communities are vaccinated, but also to prepare health systems, and hopefully vaccination rates increase and the caseload is low.
And can you explain why we're sticking with 14 days rather than 7?
That's part of national discussions, and at the moment we're not 80%, and some of the other jurisdictions are moving towards lower quarantine periods, but we're not there yet. We need to keep Queensland safe.
Thank you.
Let's have a look at the water.